Hi, Jon Mitchell, Mayor of New Bedford, another installment of the Mayor's Weekly Update. Well, so we had some good news this week. We heard that the federal government, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA to be exact, gave us a $4.2 million grant for staffing in our fire department. Now, these are called SAFER grants. And we've been the recipient of SAFER grants in the past that have enabled us to keep firefighters on the payroll for 2 years at a time. Over the last couple of years, we've been trying to get our fire department on a more sustainable path. When I first got into office, the city had some 70 firefighters that were funded by the original SAFER grant. We knew that the federal government was not going to be permanently in the business of keeping our firefighters on staff. We had to figure out a way going forward to do it on our own. So that's what we've been doing, and to bridge ourselves to that point where we can be self-sufficient. We've asked for other SAFER grants, each one a smaller one than before, so that we slowly wean ourselves off of that dependency on the federal government. So the good news is that we've got good plans in place with the fire department concerning our fire department. We're investing in our fire department. We're building the first new fire station in 60 years in our city, and we're investing heavily in equipment so that our firefighters can keep our neighborhoods safe. Now with the SAFER grant, we're going to be able to have a self-sufficient fire department going forward, and that's a big deal because we know we want a fire department that is effective, that gets to fires on time and other events on time, but we also want to make sure that we can afford those services. And with this SAFER grant and the plans that we have in place, we're going to be able to do that. So good news, and I want to thank our congressional delegation for making their voices heard in support of our application. We worked very hard to do that. Billy Cabral from the Firefighters Union played a big role in it, as well as Chief Gomes. The other thing I want to talk to you today about is the State Pier. Now, the State Pier is, to my mind, one of the most important parcels of property, not just in New Bedford, but in Greater New Bedford and really in southeastern Massachusetts, because it's 8 acres right in the middle of our waterfront, right next to our downtown. It's really in the center of things. And the important thing to know here is that over the last several decades, the state has done a very poor job maintaining it. The pier is deteriorated, it's underutilized, and what we've tried to do over the last year with a large group of waterfront stakeholders from the fishing industry and the cargo industry and others is to come up with a plan for it. And that plan is in place, but the problem, and the plan is a smart one because it largely it supports the existing uses, the cargo development, the cargo activity on the port, on the pier, as well as the expanded ferry service. We're able to get Nantucket to come in, Nantucket service to come in, so that's going really well. But we also want to take full advantage of the space that's right near the roadway. There's an area that's totally underutilized. You might see it as you're driving down the street, driving down JFK Boulevard, where you see vacant parcel with cars usually parked there. There are better uses for waterfront property than that. So this stakeholder group came up with the idea of allowing some restaurant and retail development, store development in that particular area, so we can bring more people down to the waterfront and still have these very successful maritime industries. So this week, Senator Montigny included a provision in a economic development bill that would allow for the transfer of the State Pier from the Department of Conservation and Recreation, which has been holding the facility or controlling the facility for a long time, to Mass Development, which is another state agency that's involved in economic development. The significance of this is that we could get this thing out of the hands of the DCR, which does a great job with parks and beaches around the state, but they're not set up for port facilities. We need to get this agency into the right hands, and this facility in the right hands, and I appreciate Senator Montigny's work in that regard, and we hope that we get the support of the rest of our local legislators as we go forward. So big development, but when we talk a lot about New Bedford's potential, and usually that talk turns to our downtown and our waterfront and the intersection between the two. We're getting closer to the point where we have a downtown that comes all the way down to the water, that's woven into the waterfront. That's where we want to be in the long run, and this State Pier matter is a big step forward, could be a big step forward if the legislature supports the bill. So anyway, there will be more on this later, but we had a good positive step forward this week. And so that's all I have for this week. We'll see you next week with hopefully with some more good news.